So in this week's video, I want to talk about trade management. Okay, so what you should do when you trade, when you enter a trade, when you should take your partials and stuff like that. I already pre-established some rule sets for you guys, but of course you need to be flexible with those. And it's very important to when you enter a trade, you need to exactly know where it's time to get out. Okay, so I'm gonna give you an example with today's trade on Nasdaq, and then we'll discuss some rules on how to be a little bit more flexible when it comes down to your partial zone or even closing your position and call it a day, right? Okay, so today Nasdaq was very, very clear, right? As you can see, structural expectation, there's no more doubts on what's happening, right? We saw last week, we were talking about the potential structural shift being made after this new high, and now we are about to, we are actually in this, we failed to make a new high here, so this is here, and then here, right? So basically, we have established the new structural expectation, and we understand now that price is going in with a bullish PA. Okay, so remember, the important thing about structural expectation is just a compass. It's just to give you an idea on how the day will end. Right? So we know that now, and this is what's nice about Nasdaq is it's pretty optimistic indices. So when it goes good for a while. So let's go. When we go into the intraday, right? Price pushing higher here. Asia session, we have some kind of sell side liquidity being built with these false reactions, okay, of those equal highs, price pushing lower, see? And it's very important. So remember, and this is where you see structural expectation is mostly everything, and it's very important to respect it. It's because remember, when I said that there's equal highs, right, and it makes a new structural low, the liquidity here becomes relevant. But in this case, this is intraday liquidity that is against structural expectation, and that is also trading against away from this trade away, that is the high time frame FBOS. And there's also liquidity here, not super relevant, but there still is because it made a significant new high and price induced at this point and trading away. So remember with the video when I told you guys that, okay, when it's time to take a trade, what are the odds against you? So you can see we have false reaction of those equal highs. We have an inducement, potential entry. Very, very rare to have such a beautiful entry in London, but this is like a 10 out of 10 trade, trading the FBOS, targeting the equal highs. We even have a relevant breaker structure on the M5. So for the ones that are really looking on the picture perfect trades, this is pretty much it. And we're in line with the structural expectation, so that's wonderful. As you can see, price pushes higher, comes back. I don't believe this is too much of a break and retest. I think it's a mitigation of the decisional here, because retail doesn't really enter on these weeks. Like we really want to have a clear candle, and this is a little bit too fast in my opinion. And as you can see now, we induce, and at the same time we entice buyers here, right? But we induce these equal highs, right? So it's normal to have a reaction. But remember, you are against structural expectations. You are trading away from this FBOS here. You are trading away from this straightaway also, and you are in the middle of this breakout entry. And this is something we will discuss in the future is, can I take trades immediately when retail entries have been engineered? And I'll explain this in a future video, okay? So when it's time to take a trade, of course, is with everything I taught you guys so far. But let's understand now that even though we might have a reaction candle closing like this, the concept of thinking about taking a trade here, you need to ask yourself before you enter a trade. It's mandatory. Before you enter a trade, what would be your target? People saying that there's here, and again, we have breakouts here, even though it's a first break of the intraday pullback. As you can see here, intraday pullback, it's still in line with the structural expectation, and it's a high time frame push, so most likely there's relevant liquidity here. But would you target this point here? First of all, there's no entry here, nothing very clean, and even if you enter here, what would be your target? There's no structure, there's nothing. Even targeting this, the only thing you could maybe target is the imbalance. But you'll understand what I'll say in a couple of minutes. Price is pushing, right? Induces high again. Most likely retesting these zones with break and retest here. I'll just put this like this, right? Break and retest. Price makes a new high. So solidifies the break and retest. I don't like it though. For me personally, I don't think that this is relevant, but I was wrong, unfortunately, but it happens. It happens, right? Since it's the push here and really retests this zone, I really thought that the structure didn't make sense, and I was in a live trading floor with a student, and I was wrong. During my live analysis, I said that it wasn't relevant, and it ended up being relevant. So let's continue, okay? And as you can see, price gets the next enticement high done. What's nice with every single enticement is when it breaks, most likely at certain point, you will expect that pullback. So you can capitalize on this pullback, but until where? This is what you need to do. No. So as of now, we're not interested in any trades, and this video is about trade management. So when we will be in a trade, what will we do, and what would be our take profit and our partial zones? And this is mandatory for us to find a trade first. As you can see, nothing, maybe even here, break and retest here also, but this one is far from being relevant. Like, nah, this is no good, okay? Price is pushing, but you just understand what happens. This becomes also the higher time frame, very, very enticement zone of the breakout, so this even solidifies even more this point here, okay? Let's continue. Now we have our first break, okay? Is this an FBOSS? Almost 100%. Do we have speed and momentum? Yes. Do we have liquidity to the left? Oh, okay. That changes the perspective, right? Remember, what do we have against us? The only thing we have here is an FBOSS and a potential break and retest zone here. But there's this versus this FBOSS. What weights more? For me, in my analysis, this weights way more. I expect a reaction out of this zone. So now this FBOSS is potentially identified more as a relevant breaker structure. Have you seen what we did? 2 steps. Break, first break, look to the left. We find a relevant structural point, relevant daily high, relevant liquidity. We expect a pullback. Do we want to take a trade from this point and target the low? Of course not. And this is a particularity that a lot of people, especially some that haven't really dig deep into the content, is they don't understand. Yes, there is liquidity here, 100%. Like, this liquidity is way juicy, but we cannot bet on the fact that it will be taken today, because this is the push that broke this high here, and it would go against the structural expectation. I'm not saying it will not happen, especially by inducing this point. So it's normal that we have a reaction and we can even break this low, but you're actually speculating on the fact that it will happen right now. And this is a bad habit. And this is where trade management comes in play. When you want to enter a trade, you have to set your TP. Of course, for me, my TP was here, right? And you'll see my entry in a second, because that's the only data we have. I was wrong because that was it. That was the point that made more sense. But listen, I can be perfect every single time. I still do mistakes till today. Now price goes into this POI. We have a reaction. Now this is where I took my entry on the 30 seconds, I think. I think it was my 30 seconds on this point here, right? This low candle, when price was playing in this, I had plenty of time. I think I even had like 30 minutes to enter. It was so easy. Entered, and I took 25% here. It's stupid. It's a 1, 2, 3, but it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. That's what I have right now, and I moved to break even, right? And this is where I think I have the wrong price. I need to check my MT4. Let me check real quick. Do you know exactly? Dude, oops, why did I? Okay, this was go. I think this is it. Here we go. Okay, and I moved to break even then, and then price came back, and with speed and momentum almost inducing me. It took me out, okay? But on the way down, I started taking more partials. I took another 25% here, and when price continued, I took another 25% here. This, I only had 25% left on the position. I let my target go to here. See how this usually was my take profit, but in the best case scenario, this would be the M1. This would be M2. And this would be M3, right? But the problem is the price starting giving me opposite. Like, you need to understand that when you have, and this is what we're going to be talking in this week's call, you have liquidity here. You don't know if it's relevant. You have the reaction, the usual reaction. You need to ask yourself smart questions. Do we have any type of liquidity here? Maybe it is. Or maybe this is also the break and retest here that retested this zone, right? For the relevant break. And this is like on the M5, it looks pretty clean as a break and retest. If you ignore this low PA, if you see this as a wick, as a candle, a full push, it makes total sense. So this, you need to use those counter confluence as your advantage, and you need to be able to take decisions very, very quick. Look at the PA. Look how price pushes with speed and momentum into the mitigation here. That was a re-entry that I missed, and price pushes higher, lower here. See how they fake the reaction, then induce low, most likely taking this liquidity, and this would have potentially be an SMT. Why is it an SMT? Because it's respecting structural expectation, and it's trading against the last relevant inducement of the day. The relevant inducement just happens to be a pullback, but you don't have this information until the price gives you this information. So you have an idea, you have a breakdown, you have a plan. What happens, happens. The problem is some of you guys do not accept the new outcome of the PA. Then price just left. Boom, right? And then look what it did. It started being very, very messy, and then it just left. So as you can see, this solidifies a little bit of our idea that yes, on the lower time frame, this could be an SMT, but I think really this would be a valid, aka higher time frame break and retest. And as you can see, if we go into the entry target volume 2, you have here, you would have most likely your FBOSS here, right? Your FBOSS, your reaction to this SMT. And for me, here we go, reaction to this SMT. Let's update this chart. Let's remove this. Remove this. You have your FBOSS, right? IFBOSS. You have a reaction of this SMT. Let's put the decisional as SMT, would be cool, right? Price pushes lower, break and retest zone. Also maybe break even these guys, creates his relevant breakout structure. The only thing I don't like is the speed and momentum, and goes back into this inducement POI from the actual SMT. And this is why, especially since I taught you guys to look at the odds into the opposite direction, I've noticed that not a lot of people are using the reverse trading technique. If at the second and everything I teach you guys is all a little bit of puzzles of the way I trade. In this case, we identified the potential trade away for a pullback. We then had an idea to short. Then we missed up on the liquidity point here, and the break and retest is coming back. Then we have here the target volume 2 giving an opposite direction entry to this direction, right? We have now an IFBOSS reaction to this point here. And you clearly have an entry into the opposite direction of your trade. So it's time to close the position. And if you're fast enough, unfortunately, I wasn't fast enough. And I'm the kind of trader that if I miss an entry, I'm just not going to enter because of ego. I don't want to enter like this and have a stop loss like this. But I saw it. I just wasn't fast enough. I really, really wanted to wait for a lower time frame to come back. Sometimes it can happen coming back here. It could be lucky and go higher. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case. So I missed this trade. It's okay. I'm not perfect. But as you can see, if you miss the trade, this RTP, what would be your target? Minimum this, right? Minimum. So if there's other trades that present itself, you need to get involved, right? And this is very, very, very important. As you can see here, price pushes higher, right? So that could become now the pullback. So here's the pullback until where? We don't know. Are we reacting from liquidity? No. So we do not know where would be the pullback. And then if you don't have lower time frame confirmation, if you don't have like liquidity, you wait for lower time frame confirmation. As you can see here, boom, see, pushing, right? Speed and momentum. Another IFBOSS with new PA. This could become the trap zone. This is your inducement POI. And I think I saw people take it. This one was cute. This one was cute. The only unfortunate thing I saw this one also is it was a little bit late. And this is my problem. Like I stay out of these trades and then I regret it. And then I do these videos and I look like an idiot because I missed those trades. But you get the idea. You need to be able to manage your trade, adapt, and not stick, because I see some of you guys enter these trades and you target all of this. You need to taking the partials. A lot of people are able to do it, and this I'm very proud of. But if you see an entry in the opposite direction, don't be scared. Close your position. Like at this point, like here, I was like at a 1 to 8 already, like at this point. So I just closed the rest, right? You have an entry to the opposite direction. So I took 25, 25, 25, and then when price reacted to this point and pushed it higher, I just closed everything. So I was in blue, right? I was good. And this is mandatory for you to understand that you need to adapt yourself with the newer information. We didn't know that this was relevant until it comes to this point. But again, is this point that is relevant, or it's really the price reacting to break and retest? For me, it doesn't matter because both are doing the same damn thing, right? And this is why it's important to identify multiple retail strategies, entries, because it gives you a better understanding and a better vision of the PA. So when it comes down to trading, taking those positions, I think that some of you are struggling because your foundations are wrong. Because you entered this, right? No problem. But your target is this. And then you don't have the discipline to understand and notice the newest information, because we didn't know. Like I could have expected this price to go until here and continue into this imbalance, decisional, whatever. We do not know. So you need to stay focused and look at your chart and be able to mark up the newest information that is presented to you and adapt. You can't just be there and expecting, yeah, it's going to happen, no problem. I'm just going to let the price break even me and that's it. You just can't. So my rule set, when I come in the morning, for me, I trade Asia, okay? My goal is to take a 1, 2, 2, 3, 4. That's it. Easy. Scalp. Everybody can do this. With this, I will enter a trade with minimum of 7R. And this is something that I will teach you guys. A lot of people, when I enter a trade, they will be, okay, let me just do this, do this, do this. Okay, it's 8R. And then the trade is already gone and they can't enter. You need to start practicing seeing the market. For me, I see this and this. I can already tell if it's about a 127, right? I think it's a little bit more. No, it's 127. So you get used to it the more you trade. So if you look at this here, this be here, right there. If you enter here, for me, this is either a 128, 129, right? So see, it's a 128, 129. So it's easy, right? And it doesn't need to be super like precise. It's just that you need to be able to view if this is like enough for you, right? So example, if I would be in trading live and I miss the trade and price would be here, I wouldn't be involved in this trade because I know that this is 122. It's obvious. So I enter 127, and then when this is with partials, and then aggressive trades, then sus trades. Let's call it like this, right? It's very important to establish. For me, I have the luxury of, I have pretty much mastered Asia. I can literally just trade from my MT4. I don't use the same techniques on Asia. I most likely scalp, and it's very important to understand that it's harder. Like my trade on GU last night on Asia, it was this, right? It's similar. It's similar. I took it like this. It's similar, but it's okay. I think it was a 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2. I think something like that. So it's very nasty, but it pays the bills. It pays the bills. Right there, I have at least 3 free trades, right? So I think that you need to do this. You need to build that buffer with a smaller trade. Let's do a 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Everybody's able to do it. Then build a confidence and burn it into a good trade. But maybe that time, since you can allow yourself to, you can go with a tighter stop loss. And a tight stop loss doesn't mean a stop loss that doesn't make sense. Your stop loss needs to make sense. So this is very important. So the content of this video is to explain that even though you enter a trade, it doesn't mean that you need to hold a trade until you're break even. You need to establish the newest information that is in the chart. And usually the RTP and the reverse trade target volume 2 video thing, we need to find a name for this, a reverse entry maybe, gives you the indication that price is ready to go into the opposite direction, right? So you need to be able to see it. And don't tell me that this isn't clear, right? Like this is very, very clear. And this is where you understand that, okay, maybe I need to stop holding for so long on these trades and start processing the newest information. Now, what's the worst thing that can happen? What is the worst thing that can happen, right? You lose a trade? Some people have way bigger problems than this, okay? So make sure that you build this buffer, that you enter a trade that has a minimum risk reward. So you need to practice your eyes on seeing these type of trades, right? Because if you have to calculate with this tool before every single trade, you'll miss out a lot. And you take aggressive trades afterwards based on the profits of this trade, right? So it's very, very easy. And again, this is me. This is how I do it. You don't have to do it this way. I don't force you guys to do it this way. But if you don't have a process like this, and you don't have like a flexible trade management, you'll end up most likely just ruining your psychology because you will constantly be hitting break even. For me, my psychology is intact. If I enter a trade, I hit the stop loss or I hit the break even, I don't really care. I just move on with my day, but it will sting. But I will not act on this pain and this frustration. So some of you guys think that I don't feel it. I feel it. I just don't act on it. So it's very important to understand that your trade management, especially if you are in the pullback of this impulse, you need to be able to either take your partials very fast or close your entire position. And I know this video doesn't even teach you a new topic, but it's very important to talk about it because this is a problem I see. And I'd like you guys to be honest with yourself. And if this is something you do, you need to just get out of this bad habit and accept that, listen, small profit is still profit. You'll be up for the day. Look at all these -1 Rs that you stack during the week because you hit stop losses. They add up pretty quickly. So imagine 1-2s and 1-3s and partials. It's free money. Take it, especially if you're taking a trade in the opposite direction of structural expectation, right? And don't tunnel vision, like let's say this has been an EVOS. Don't tunnel vision if you don't have all the information. Look to the left. This, for me, it's not relevant for a reversal, but it will provide a reaction. And this is what people don't understand. I'm not saying that this is relevant for reversal. It provides a reaction. Because even though there's liquidity here and there's liquidity to the left, price moves by respecting the structural expectation. So this is how I manage my trades. This is what I do. This is the little mistake I did when I missed the buys. Try to do the same. Try practicing counter confluence and reverse trading. And especially if you have an entry, reverse entry, let's call it that, a reverse entry from the Target Volume 2 video. And then you will be able to be a little bit more, have a little bit more tools when it comes down to managing your trades. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Pretty short, 29 minutes. If there's anything, you'll let me know. And the journey is hard. The journey takes time, but it's definitely worth it. So keep on going. I'm here to help you. Peace.